Thailand is full of contradictions. It's a place where you can see a monk taking donations at 6 a.m. outside a bar that is still full of people and blasting music. But at the same time, it's also a place that is still very rooted in tradition and very conservative by a lot of standards. Today, we're talking about the stuff that feels straight up illegal, except it's not. Kind of. And if you've ever spent any time here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in today's video, we're talking about 7 everyday things that you will experience during your time in Thailand. And a lot of them may have you wondering if you're on your way to jail, but in all reality, they're just part of life here. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Everybody talks about culture shock. And if you are coming to Thailand, especially from America, that is absolutely true. I remember the first 2 weeks, month, 3 months that I was here, there were things that when I was walking around, I was just like, what the hell is going on? But even after 3 years, there are a few things that still, if I see them while I'm out and about, I'm like, what? That's very Thailand. That is Thailand in a nutshell right there. So in today's video, we're going over 7 of those things that you will most likely see and experience every single day that you will be very surprised are just kind of how things work here. Now, disclaimer, some of these things, even though you do see them all the time, probably every day, like we mentioned, they are not technically legal. And if you've never spent any time in Thailand, the landscape of what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do can kind of be a gray area sometimes, especially if you're a foreigner. Some of these things, I am not condoning that you do. I don't recommend that you do, because even though you may see them every single day, some of them are still technically illegal, and you never know if you're gonna catch a Thai police officer on the wrong day.
Hey, you stop laughing right now.
Now, our first point, one that I honestly still have not gotten used to. It still feels strange to me. I still feel like I'm doing something I'm not supposed to when I am doing it. And it has to do with some of the drinking laws here in Thailand, or lack thereof, I guess you could say. It's no secret that Thailand is renowned for nightlife. But one thing that does take some getting used to compared to America is just drinking in public. In Thailand, you can walk into a 7-Eleven, you can buy a beer, you can walk outside, you can crack it open, you can sit on the curb, you can walk around with it, you don't have to hide it. It is actually legal here. Now, it's not legal everywhere. There are some places that are restricted. A lot of those are pretty obvious, places like schools, temples. If you're wondering if you should be drinking there, you probably shouldn't. But for the most part, if you want to grab a cold one, crack it open, walk down the sidewalk, you don't have anything to worry about. Now, if you've seen any video clips from Thailand, I'm sure you know that the roads are absolutely hectic. And like we mentioned, this is one of those situations where it's actually technically illegal, but you will for sure see it everywhere. But that is when you are out and about, if you're watching people on motorbikes, especially the locals, it is not a strange sight to see an entire family come cruising by on a single motorbike. Now, full disclosure, if you're a foreigner and you're here with your buddies and you guys pack 4 or 5 deep on a motorcycle, you go driving down the road and you drive past a Thai police officer, it's a very safe bet that you might not get as much lenient, and it does not stick to just motorbikes. You'll be driving, you'll see some pickup trucks that are absolutely loaded sky high, literally doing a wheelie down the road. You'll also see flatbed semi trucks with some very questionable tie downs on their loads. So this is something that is important to understand. Traffic regulation in Thailand compared to America is pretty lax, to say the least. So if you're planning on driving around, I mean, you're going to be on the roads no matter what. This is something you should be aware of. And no matter how many times you see it, every time you see an entire family with a whole load of groceries, 3 kids, husband, wife, all loaded down on a little 125cc motorcycle, you're still probably going to shake your head a bit. Now, if you are coming to Thailand from America, another thing that is probably going to seem very strange at first, another thing that has to do with kind of the drinking laws or lack thereof, is when you're going out and about, in America, the clubs close at 2. Hits 2 a.m., the lights come on, the music turns off, and you got to get the hell out. Now, this is another one of those things in Thailand that technically, it's supposed to be the same. I think in some places it's 3 a.m., other places it's 2 a.m. Party districts get a little bit more leeway, but it is not strange at all to be in, especially like the kind of little mom and pop, the little dive bars. A lot of them, what will happen if they've got people in there who are spending money, having a good time, as soon as that closing time rolls around, they'll just kind of shut the front doors. They might turn the music down a little bit, but at that point, It's kind of a private establishment, and then they can just do whatever they want. I remember the first week I was here, I was hanging out with a girl. We were out all night. She said she wanted to go to some place at like 7 or 8 a.m. She walked me down this super suspect alley. There was nobody around. I thought I was about to get robbed for sure. Turn the corner, doors open up, and it's an entire nightclub, completely packed, music blasting, lasers everywhere, and that can make it real easy to get lost in the sauce. Now, when I lived in America, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of you in your younger years, just like me, we worked at restaurants. If you work at a restaurant in America, you got to take a test. It's the food handlers to make sure you know all the legal regulations to make sure that food is safe and you're not cross-contaminating things. In Thailand, from what I've seen, that's really not much of a thing. Now, for the most part, it's very rare that I run into, a street vendor or a restaurant anywhere and I'm like, ugh, this is super sus. But it can be a bit daunting when you first get here. You walk into some of these restaurants, you see some of these street food vendors and you're like, ugh, I don't know if this is safe. I don't know how this is legal. But I mean, I've been here for 3 years. I've never gotten sick. But the more lax attitude that Thailand has towards restaurants and food vendors and things like that, that's just part of the game. It's always going to be like that. I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's going to be food vendors around. You're going to see some stuff that looks sketchy. If it looks sketchy, just don't eat it. Now, if you have spent time in Thailand and you have a Thai restaurant or vendor horror story where you chose something that you probably shouldn't have, let me know down in the comments below. Let everybody else know so we can have an idea of what we should not be eating. A massive difference you will see when you get to Thailand, especially from America, is just fakes, fakes, fakes. A lot of the time when you see people in America with designer stuff or, Ray-Bans, Louis bags, whatever, there's at least a pretty good chance that that is a real bag or a real shirt or whatever. That is not a thing in Thailand. And while this is normal for most of Southeast Asia, the first time you walk into one of these markets and you just see all the fake Jordans, all the fake Louis Vuitton, all the fake, it's everything. And it's not just limited to designer stuff. You'll even see fake Adidas, fake Nike, things that I don't really understand why you would fake them. It ends up being the same price as the real stuff, but this can for sure be a culture shock if you're somebody who enjoys fancier things like that. If you enjoy the sense of status you get from wearing those things, that's not a thing in Thailand. If you're, wearing a Rolex or you're wearing Gucci or whatever in Thailand, everybody is just gonna assume that it's fake. So personally, I just say buy the fakes. If everybody thinks it's fake anyway, to hell with it. I think a Thailand cultural experience that everybody needs to have at least once is to be in one of these huge night markets where there's just tons and tons of fake stuff. And then the word gets out that the police are in the building, and watch how fast all these shop owners slam all their shutters closed. Everybody will disappear in 30 seconds. The first time that happened to me when I was in one of those places, I was convinced there was a BOMB threat or something. It was very strange, but it's just one of those things that I feel like really can just add to your Thailand experience. Now, a lot of people, myself included, when you first get to Thailand, your chances of getting sick are very high. Different climate, different food, just everything's different. You're gonna end up drinking some, tap water or water in the shower on accident at some point. But a major difference, a thing that I still am surprised by every time I have to do it, is anytime you can go into the pharmacy. In Thailand, there are very few things you cannot buy over the counter. Now, of course, you can't get everything. There is still some stuff that you will need prescriptions for. Even when you're out on the streets, not even just in the pharmacies, you will have people approach you asking if you need other types of medications. This is another thing, like we mentioned in the disclaimer, it is technically illegal, but you will absolutely see it everywhere. If you do need some of that stuff, I recommend just going and getting a prescription, because getting caught with illegal substances is not something you want to do here. Now, maybe the biggest difference that you will experience during your time in Thailand compared to America. Now, don't get me wrong, this happens in America too, but it's more behind the curtain and it's not so kind of in your face all the time. And that is just, it's pay to play in Thailand. There's a lot of things, a lot of situations, a lot of systems that if you can just throw enough money at them, it will make things a whole lot easier. Paying for convenience is for sure a thing in America, but in Thailand, it's even more in your face. Say you get stopped on your motorbike, you don't have your license on you. A lot of the time, time, instead of going to the police station, that officer will just let you pay your ticket there. When it comes to a lot of other situations and systems, things you're gonna have to deal with, especially if you're living here. If you've got enough money to take care of them, vast majority of the time, you can make that happen. Now, this isn't black and white. It doesn't have to do with everything. And sometimes it can be really convenient. Other times it can be really frustrating and just kind of annoying that you have to pay for these things that you feel like should just be done anyway. The sooner you get away from that, you're just gonna have a much better time here. So 7 everyday things that feel illegal but aren't, but are kind of, but they're not, because you see them all the time and people still do them, but they are technically illegal. If you watching this video have spent any time in Thailand and you think there's another thing that we need to add to the list, feel free to drop it down in the comments below. I'm always interested in hearing your guys' personal experiences because I've heard some wild ones. If you have made it this far in the video and you enjoyed it and you'd like to let the algorithm know that Tempus TV is worthy and our videos should be shown to more people, you know what to do. There's little buttons down there if you want to see more. You guys know the deal. Everybody says it. I hope you have a good day. Like always, doors that way. Later.